680 Christiansburg, WPIN AM Dublin, and W246CR Christiansburg.
It's the Drive Sports Center at the top of the hour. In the NBA playoffs this evening, the Rockets host the Jazz at 8 p.m. for the West semifinals Game 5. Houston leads 3-1. And the Pelicans are the Warriors at 10:30 for their Game 5. Golden State leads 3-1. In Hokie sports news, for the first time, the Virginia Tech lacrosse team earned a bid to the NCAA tournament. The Hokies learned they were included in the 2017 field for the 2018 championship via NCAA selection show and are headed to Chapel Hill region to face Georgetown. The 2018 season has been a banner year for the Hokies program, setting records in total wins as well as ACC wins. For your ESPN Sports Center, I'm Brian Reed.
It's time now for The Drive.
Alrighty then.
On ESPN Blacksburg, 93.1, 97.1, and live on the web at ESPNBlacksburg.com.
It's The Drive on your local radio station. We are ESPN Blacksburg, and a good Tuesday afternoon to all of you. My name is Paul Van Wagner. Brian C. Reed is in the other studio, taking your calls at 866-961-1430, 866-961-1430 is the number to call. You can also text us. The number is exactly the same. I'm having a moment of anxiety here.
Why is that?
Did you remember to delete?
I did indeed.
Keep my hands to myself. No matter how hard I'm trying to.
Scott Nason.
I won't
Scott.
fall to myself.
Scott Nason. Scott.
I love Scott like a love song, baby. When you're ready, come and get
Scott Nason. Scott Nason. Scott Nason. Scott Nason.
Absolutely, let's go.
That's right. It is Scott Nason joining us this afternoon. How are you, my man?
I'm doing pretty darn good, Paul, on a Tuesday. Thanks for having me on. Ready to talk about, well, the world of sports with you and your listeners. Always a good time.
Well, let's start in the world of soccer, because a big match bored people to death on Sunday as El Clasico was played to a 2-2 draw. Sorry. I fell asleep just talking about it. Come on, man. 2-2 draw. Like, in this match, in any match, but in this one where it's Barcelona, Real Madrid, like, you got to play that. Somebody's got to win. Like, you can't have a draw.
Absolutely, you can have a draw. That's what the league is all about. It's about sharing points. It's about equal value, and those two teams are pretty even.
Go to a shootout.
On the day. What's that?
Go to a shootout.
Nah, no shootouts. Those are only for international competitions and cups. This is a good way to do their leagues. One of the best regular seasons is in La Liga, as well as the top divisions in Europe, because every match matters. And you're seeing that, get a little off the subject here, but you're seeing that in the relegation battles or the battles to survive. One tie, 1 point can mean so much. Now, in this case, Real Madrid, Barcelona, it didn't mean as much, although it did keep Barcelona's league unbeaten streak to 42 matches, which is, that's a long time. They haven't lost in the league since April of 2017, and they have a 35-game unbeaten streak to start the league right now. They're going to win the league. They've already clinched it, 26-0-9. So they didn't have a winner, but El Clasico always delivers great entertainment, great crowd atmosphere. I give it about a B because it didn't have as much meaning as in years past.
If that match has more meaning and it's played to a draw, does it? I don't know. I want there to be finality. The draw just, it leaves something, man.
It does leave something, but again, you look at how these international leagues in Europe are set. In the Premier League, for example, You have 38 matches, and the matches at the beginning of the year are as pressure-packed, maybe not quite as, but are very pressure-packed to begin with because you start leaving points on the table, and all of a sudden you're scrambling for them. We're seeing that in the Premier League right now with teams vaunting for survival. West Bromwich Albion got relegated today due to Southampton's win at Swansea City. I know you're very excited about that,
Yes.
Paul, but again, it's the full body of work, unlike some other leagues where it's, okay, you get the extra points, you get in the playoffs, and the league starts over. That's where I think these leagues just do it right, and it works very well.
Well, you mentioned West Brom and Albion, Stoke City behind them, so I'm assuming it's safe to say that Stoke is also relegated?
Yes, 2 of the 3 teams are relegated due to that match today, which was a huge one. Swansea City hosted Southampton, both teams with 33 points, and Southampton gets the road win 1-0. So they move out of the danger zone, so to speak. No offense to Kenny Loggins there. That relegates West Bromwich Albion. They are out of the Premier League no matter what they do on Sunday. Stoke City, as you mentioned, Paul, they were relegated this past weekend. So it comes down to 3 teams. 2 will survive on Sunday, where everybody plays at the same time. Right now, the team in the best shape is Southampton. They need a point, no matter what the other teams do, to survive. They do play Manchester City at home, the league's best team. Huddersfield Town right now, a team that got promoted last year, they're in a little better shape than Swansea. They still control their own destiny. They need 1 point in their last 2 matches. They have Chelsea tomorrow at Chelsea and then Arsenal at home. So a tough schedule, but they have 2 matches. Swansea City just has 1 match. They have to play Stoke City, who's already eliminated. So you'd think they would win.
Right.
Then it gets the goal differential and stuff. So it's really going to come down to 3 teams, 2 spots in, 1 team out. And let me tell you, when you get relegated out of the Premier League, it is a devastating blow to your fan base and your financial pocketbook as you lose a lot of money.
Well, and I have to imagine that if Southampton, Huddersfield Town, and Swansea City all end up with 36 points, it does become very, very interesting as to who ends up getting relegated.
Yeah, right now Southampton has the best goal differential at minus 18.
Mm-hmm.
Swansea City's minus 27. Huddersfield Town is minus 29. So if all 3 of those teams end up getting 36 points, the odds out would be Huddersfield Town, as long as there wasn't a major margin as far as the team winning 4 or 5-0. But I still like Huddersfield Town to survive. I think Swansea City, they needed some points today. They didn't get it. They're going to be out.
Darn Swans. You mentioned Danger Zone earlier. Just for the record, Emilio Estevez was awesome in Top Gun. NHL playoffs, one series we haven't talked about is the one series that's still going on. Predators-Jets, Game 7 on Thursday. Nothing better than Game 7 in any sport. But you add in the fact that no matter what happens at the end of this match, Scott, there's going to be some handshaking. Nobody's going to get thrown out or rip their jersey off and go into the locker room pouting. You're going to have gentlemen shaking hands after a very tough battle out on the ice on Thursday.
Yeah, you really are. And you're having the 2 best teams in the league that are playing in that Game 7 in a series that's been unpredictable. It's had lots of twists and turns. And in a really good second round, I know you already talked about Vegas, Washington getting that proverbial monkey and exercising their demons off their back there, beating Pittsburgh, and Tampa Bay kind of quietly going about their business. Not many people are talking about them, but they're just kind of taking care of business and moving on. But boy, this game on Thursday has the potential to really be a classic. And who knows? I mean, you thought Nashville was in good shape going into Game 5. At home, tied at 2 in the series, and they laid an egg against Winnipeg. The Jets win 6-2. So you think, okay, Winnipeg's going to come back home. They got the crowd just going bananas, and Nashville just shut them down. Pekka Rinne, 34 shots, another shutout. And so Game 7, anything goes. I don't think we've seen an overtime game in this series.
No.
I think you might see one on Thursday, maybe multiple.
Jets have never played an overtime or have never played a Game 7 in franchise history. The Predators are 1-1 all time in Game 7s. They beat the Ducks and lost to the Sharks. Both of those in 2016, both on the road. You mentioned Tampa Bay earlier, Scott. I said during our first segment when we were talking about the Washington Capitals that I felt like if you are going to call your bookie and you were going to place a safe bet on who out of the remaining 5 teams, because eventually the Predators Jets are going to get down to 1. So if you even consider them one team, and you can have both of them, but you look at Vegas, you look at Tampa Bay, you look at Washington. Tampa Bay feels to me like the safe bet, the smart bet right now. Do you agree with that?
I do. I did pick them to be in the Stanley Cup Finals along with Winnipeg once the playoffs began, and we'll see what happens there at the Winnipeg one. But yeah, I think they are the safe bet. They just do a lot of things great. They don't do any one particular thing outstanding. They don't have the best goalie. They don't have the biggest snipers. They don't have the toughest defense, but they have all three in a team that is used to winning, unlike Washington, who hasn't won a lot in the last 20 years. And I agree, Paul. I think they are the safe pick of any of the remaining teams, including Nashville, who's a good pick as well, or Winnipeg. But I wouldn't bet against Tampa right now. They're looking as solid as anybody and consistent throughout this entire playoff.
You mentioned Washington, obviously, here locally. Most people are Washington fans. You have a smattering of, the Red Wings fans like myself, a few Pittsburgh fans here and there. But for the most part, it's a Washington area here. Obviously, they get to the final. Ovechkin ends the Caps' 20-year drought doing this. And, man, it feels good to as a fan of hockey, to see a changing of the guard, a passing of the torch, whatever you want to call it. It's just nice that when you don't have the same team, and I know I have a bias against Pittsburgh, but I just like to see that kind of passing of the torch from time to time.
I totally agree. I was watching that game last night, and I'm not a Caps fan. I'm not a Penguins hater either. I'm somewhere in the middle there, and when Kuznetsov scored that goal in overtime, I was excited. I was happy. I went and saw the play-by-play by the Capitals radio guy. Just did a fantastic job in the call of that one. And it's good to see different teams in it. It's not like the NBA where we're probably going to see Cleveland and Golden State yet again. For crying out loud, we've seen this match enough. But now the NHL, you're going to have a new champion. You got the Vegas story, which is just still unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, this just does not happen in the world of sports, and it's amazing that more people aren't talking about Vegas. I know you are, Paul, on your show, but nationally, you're maybe not seeing as much as I think you should. But just the NHL playoffs, especially the second round, has been very, very good.
I do take exception with one thing Vegas is trying to perpetrate. They're trying to refer to themselves as the new hockey town. I take exception to that.
Yeah, that you can say that, but I mean, nobody's buying that one. I mean, there is one hockey town, and it's Detroit, albeit the team has struggled lately, but they are the hockey town. And Vegas, nice try, nice story, but don't steal our motto. Come on, guys.
Yeah. And in the 1 year, you got to have some consistency there, for crying out loud, like that.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. That's no good. That's no good. Scott, you got a new show coming out for the people?
I do. As a matter of fact, we're having it within the next hour, talking about some local sports here in northern Michigan and northern Ontario, but also talking about some other sports of note, and we will talk about it on the podcast page later on tonight at thegamesportshow.podbean.com.
As always, man, I appreciate you doing this. Look forward to chatting with you again next Tuesday. We're going to make it Tuesdays for the next little while because one of us is a big deal in the world of umpiring, so... and the other one's name is Paul Van Wagner, so that tells you which one I'm talking about.
Yeah. 4.5 hours later from yesterday's JV softball Olympic, Paul. It was quite the long night, but it was fun either way.
Do they pay you by the hour?
No, I need to talk to my agent.
Yeah.
Kind of like this show.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to double whatever we paid you last year in the upcoming year, just so you know.
I appreciate it, Paul. Thank you.
Scott, as always, man, we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. Scott Nason, who joins us every week right here on The Drive.
Carrying the message to other sports junkies. Yeah, baby! This is